Hello, friends. Welcome to my kitchen. First, place a piece of beef on a cutting board. Trim off any excess natural casing or membrane that's covering the meat. We want to use the middle part of the loin, and the piece should be about 2 pounds or 1 to 1.2 kilograms of beef. Today we're preparing a cozy dish that's all about comfort, rich, savory flavors, melt-in-your-mouth textures, and just a hint of love in every bite. Next, wipe the beef thoroughly with paper towels to make sure it's dry. Friends, I always enjoy knowing where you're from. Please share your city and country. And if you're in the US, let me know your state. Now, place the beef in a deep, small baking pan or dish. Pour about 1 to 1.5 ounces or 50 milliliters of soy sauce over the beef, depending on how thick your soy sauce is. Next, add around 15 milliliters of olive oil, which will help keep the beef tender and juicy. Then, sprinkle with salt and black pepper to taste. Don't be shy with the seasoning. It'll enhance the flavors and help create that delicious crust when we sear the beef later. Massage the beef very well so that all the soy sauce and oil are absorbed into the meat. This helps tenderize the beef and infuses it with flavor. Make sure you get every side of the meat. This is a step you don't want to rush. Now, heat a little olive oil in a frying pan over medium-high heat. If you have any questions about the recipe, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments, and I'll reply as soon as I can. Once the pan is nice and hot, carefully add the beef and sear it for about 1 minute on each of the 4 sides. You want to hear that sizzle. It's the sound of the beef developing a beautiful golden brown crust. This quick searing locks in all those delicious juices inside the meat, so don't skip this step. Friends, if you enjoyed the video, a like would be much appreciated. It's the best way to support me. Now, place the beef in the fridge and let it rest for a little while. While the beef is resting, let's prepare the mushrooms. Take about 2 pounds or 1 kilogram of mushrooms and cut them into quarters. We're cutting them into smaller pieces so that it's easier to blend or process them later. This step makes the mushrooms break down more evenly, giving us a smoother texture when we cook them. You can use any kind of mushrooms you like, but white mushrooms work great for this dish. Now, place the mushrooms in a blender, or you can use a meat grinder if you have one. Blend or grind the mushrooms until they form a paste-like mixture, something similar to a pâté. This texture will help the mushrooms blend seamlessly into the beef later on. Friends, if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more recipes like this. Now, place a dry frying pan over medium heat and transfer the mushrooms into the pan. No oil needed. We're frying them dry so they release their natural moisture and flavor. Cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, stirring occasionally. At this point, don't add any salt or pepper. We'll season them later. You'll notice the mushrooms start to shrink down and release their moisture. That's when the magic happens. Keep stirring to make sure they cook evenly and don't burn. This step really concentrates the flavor of the mushrooms, so don't rush it. Carefully transfer them to a bowl to cool. Let them rest for a few minutes. This cooling step helps the flavors settle and makes it easier to work with them in the next stages. Add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Mix it thoroughly, making sure the seasoning is evenly distributed throughout the mushroom paste. Let the mixture cool down for a bit. It's easier to work with when it's not too hot. Now, let's prepare the next layer. Take a piece of plastic wrap and place it flat on your cutting board. Lay strips of bacon on the wrap, making sure they slightly overlap. This will help create a sturdy layer that keeps the beef moist and juicy as it bakes. Take your time to arrange the bacon neatly. This layer should be solid and even, so don't worry if the strips touch each other a little. The bacon will not only add flavor, but also act as a protective barrier during baking, ensuring the beef stays tender and juicy. Spread the mushroom mixture evenly on top of the bacon. Take your time here, making sure it's spread out nicely. You want to cover all the bacon completely without leaving any gaps. This will ensure that every bite is packed with flavor and moisture, and the mushrooms will help keep the beef tender while it bakes. Make sure the layer is smooth and even, as this will help everything cook together beautifully in the next steps. Next, take some dried porcini mushrooms and sprinkle them over the mushroom mixture. This adds an extra earthy flavor to the dish, giving it depth and richness. Now, take the beef out of the fridge and brush it with mustard. Don't put too much on, just enough to coat it evenly. The mustard will add a nice tangy flavor that complements the richness of the beef. Be sure to cover all sides with a thin, even layer. Add a little bit more oyster sauce on top of the mustard. This will give the beef a lovely, rich, and savory layer of flavor, enhancing the natural taste of the meat. Spread the sauce evenly with a brush so the beef is fully covered. Now, carefully place the beef on the bacon and mushroom layers. Roll it up tightly with the help of the plastic wrap, but don't pull too hard. You want the roll to be snug, but not too tight. Make sure the beef is fully encased in the bacon and mushrooms, with no gaps. Once it's all rolled up, place it in the fridge again to firm up. Let's get ready to wrap it in dough. First, lightly flour the surface of your work area to prevent the dough from sticking. Take a piece of dough and roll it out to about 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch thick. If you don't have a rolling pin, don't worry. You can simply use your hands to gently stretch the dough out until it reaches the right thickness. It's all about getting that perfect balance so the dough holds everything together nicely while baking. Now, take the beef roll from the fridge and carefully place it in the center of the dough. Wrap the dough tightly around the beef, making sure the roll is sealed well. This will keep all the flavors locked in while baking. The dough should be snug around the beef without being too tight. Just enough to keep everything in place. Next, beat 1 egg in a bowl. Add 1 tablespoon of milk. Whisk it together until smooth. This will be the glaze for our pastry and gives it a beautiful golden color as it bakes. Now make shallow cuts on the surface of the dough, just like you see in the video. This helps the pastry puff up beautifully and gives it that rustic, homemade charm. These little cuts allow steam to escape and help the dough rise evenly. Brush the cuts with the egg mixture to make them shine once they're baked. This will give your pastry a beautiful glossy finish, making it look golden and tempting. The egg wash also helps to lock in moisture, so your pastry will stay soft and delicious on the inside, while having that perfect crispness on the outside. Now, place the wrapped beef in the oven at 360 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius and bake for 25 minutes. Next, fill a pan with enough water to cover the next ingredient. Add 1 teaspoon of salt. Cover it with a lid. Bring it to a boil. Once the water is boiling, add the broccoli. Cook it for just 1 to 2 minutes. We want it to be bright green and slightly tender, not overcooked. Then remove the broccoli from the water with tongs and set it aside. Take the beef out of the oven. Once cooled, slice it into bite-sized pieces. At this point, let's take a moment to admire the wonderful combination of flavors. The crispy golden dough, the juicy beef, and the earthy mushrooms. This is truly a comforting classic of English cuisine, rich in flavor and tradition. The perfect balance of textures and tastes makes this dish a timeless favorite that's always sure to impress. Serve a slice of the beef on a plate. Add the steamed broccoli on the side. Taste the flavors, enjoy the textures, and relish in the warmth of this delicious meal. The crispy golden pastry gives way to the tender, juicy beef and the earthy mushrooms, creating a perfect bite with every forkful. The savory beef complemented by the richness of the mushrooms and the crisp pastry is truly a comforting delight. And that fresh broccoli adds a nice touch of color and a light, crisp contrast to the richness of the dish. I hope this recipe fills your home with warmth and brings as much joy to your family as it does to mine. Thank you for cooking with me today. Until next time, happy cooking.